All right, hello, folks out there in internet land, and thank you for tuning that dial to the Eek channel. My name is James, and I am joined by my co-host to the left,
Danny,
and my co-host to the right,
Goody.
If you've been listening for a while, we are shaking things up here just a little bit. We are going to try having two different types of segments each week. On Monday nights, we're going to release a SpoilerVision segment. That's what you're listening to right now. This is the thing where we watch a scary movie and we give you our immediate feedback. We determine whether it gets the Eek seal of quality. And then on Wednesday nights, we're going to post the Eek Live segment. That's where we discuss different horror movie topics. And the coolest thing is we're leaving some space in to allow some of our listeners and people just like you to call in and be on the show with us.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have any interest in being on the show with us, no matter where you are in the world, we would love... Anywhere in the world.
Jamaica?
Yeah, approved. Yeah,
the power of anywhere with internet access, I guess, because you got to have that.
We would love to talk to you about what got you into scary movies, what keeps you coming back, and what some of your favorites are.
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way is going to be to hit us up on Instagram, slide into those DMs at Eek Channel. That is EEKCHANNEL. That's where you'll find us. And without further ado, this is episode 1 of SpoilerVision. And this week we are going to be watching Halloween 2018.
Let's go.
I have seen this movie before.
I have seen this movie before.
I have never seen this movie before.
I watched this movie in the theater.
I also watched this movie in the theater.
I'm going to watch it at your house.
I watched this in the theater twice.
Ooh. I watched this in the theater once.
I'm going to watch this movie probably one time unless you want to watch it again. I'm looking forward to it.
I like this game.
All right, so this is... I'm really excited to review this movie. This movie came out around Halloween of 2018. It is 2019 now, summer of 2019. We started Eek Channel and doing reviews and the podcast and all that stuff at the beginning of the year. I felt like we were a little too late to the party to really talk about Halloween 2018. So I just kind of held off. And then I said, you know what?
It's time.
I want to watch it again.
Yep.
So this gives me an excuse to actually go buy it, and we're going to watch it again. And we're going to review it.
And we've tiptoed, got ankle deep in the Halloween series, but we have not done a deep dive.
No, so we haven't. And so, for those of you that don't know, I mean, this is John Carpenter's return to the Halloween franchise. Since Halloween 3, he hasn't really touched any of them. And this one, he's a producer, a consultant, and he did the score. All good things. And it's Jamie Lee Curtis's return since Resurrection and H2O.
Let's go.
Yeah. She was not in any of the Rob Zombie ones.
Oh.
She didn't get invited to the Rob Zombie one. Not cool enough. She's busy making Freaky Friday.
She's busy doing Activia commercials.
Yeah. Trying to stay regular.
Loves activity.
All right, so what I think was really cool about 2018's Halloween that I wanted to touch on before we get into the feature description is it achieved a amount of mainstream media attention that very few horror movies ever get to. There were I think Jamie Lee Curtis was on the cover of Good Housekeeping, promoting Halloween 2018, just crazy stuff like that. She definitely had a whole thing in Entertainment Weekly. She has been the bridge that allows people to watch horror movies who you might not think normally watch horror movies.
Definitely. Well, and I feel like in that mainstream media, we saw a little bit of a pickup of pre-viewership excitement. So a lot of horror movies kind of are, the excitement's in post. Like, hey, I've seen this. Have you seen this? And before you walk in, and that's kind of the idea of a horror movie is keeping that secret kind of as long as you can. And so they kind of gave us some softballs. We kind of knew what we were getting into before this. It spanned generations, like you just said, to where it allowed a little bit of that excitement, kind of similar to what we see with things like Star Wars and Avengers. Obviously not that grand of scale, but we see some of that. We see toys cropping up before the movie is really even coming out in theaters. So that was cool.
Cool. So let's go ahead and move on in.
And now for our feature presentation.
Halloween is a 2018 American slasher film directed by David Gordon Green. It is written by Green, Jeff Fradley, and Danny McBride. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis and Nick Castle, who reprise their respective roles as Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. But Nick Castle doesn't play Michael Myers the whole time because, let's face it, if you've seen Nick Castle, he's not really that intimidating, and things have changed since 1978, so they had to get another guy as well. So stuntman James Jude Courtney, who I can't tell you how good of a job he does because we're still in the pre-show. So James Jude Courtney also portrays Myers. It's the 11th? I thought it was the 10th. Is it the 11th installment in the franchise?
I think this is
the 11th installment in the franchise. You are correct. And as of right now, it is the final Halloween film. And it serves as a direct sequel to Halloween 1978 and basically pretends like none of the other sequels ever existed.
Which is an interesting idea, right? Like we've seen this play out specifically in this series several times where they just kind of keep hitting the reset button. That's great. Good for you.
Soft reboots, if you will.
Yeah, we see it happen all the time in comic books and graphic novels. It's something that they do, I think, pretty seamlessly.
Yeah.
Time and time again. So, just kind of excited to revisit that idea and kind of have more of maybe a critical eye this time than I did the last time.
Yeah. So cool. Danny, you want to read the back of the box?
Totally. Laurie Strode comes to her final confrontation with Michael Myers, the masked figure who has haunted her since she narrowly escaped his killing spree on Halloween night 4 decades ago.
All right, there you have it. I don't think I have anything else to say, but to Halloween!
To Halloween 2018.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Perfect.
Hey, what is up, guys? On this break, I just wanted to thank you all. We have hit 1,000 downloads. Man, we started this thing not knowing if anyone would ever listen to it. So the fact that we've hit 1,000 plays in 23 odd episodes is amazing. So we just thank you guys so much. We are gonna do a really cool giveaway. We're gonna be giving away an Eek t-shirt as well as a gift card to the movie theater chain of your choice, just because we don't know who's gonna win and we don't know what theaters are close to you. Maybe you have an AMC close, maybe you have a Regal close, maybe you have a Cinemark. I think Cinemark's still in business, I'm not sure. Anyway, so we're gonna be running the contest on Instagram. Just if you wanna enter that and have an opportunity to win, just check us out at Eek Channel. If you don't already follow us, the details for entry will be there. Thank you so much for listening. All right, and we are back.
We're back.
Coming at you with our thoughts on Halloween 2018.
Sign language. For those who don't know, I'm working a summer job and I woke up at 4:15 this morning, so I'm raring to go.
I just love that anyone listening to the podcast has no idea what the hell just happened.
Yep, nailed it.
Cody's making up sign language over here. We'll just leave it at that.
No, it's not. It's just not American Sign Language.
There you go. You don't know.
All right, let's jump into the trivia for this. We'll do the budget first. So the budget was roughly $10 million for this film.
Wow.
And its worldwide gross is $253 million.
Unbelievable.
Good return.
Just insane.
I feel like production budget is so small.
It's small.
Yeah.
So small. And,
Yep.
and I get it. You watch the movie and there's, if they got permission to shoot on site somewhere,
Yeah.
they don't have to pay for some psychiatric place or some, it's,
Well, and most of the movie's neighborhood, just like
Yeah.
the movie
Yep.
before it. So you
Yep.
pay for a lot for the day, and you can get a lot of shit done.
Yep. It's just shocking how
Yeah.
small.
It is shocking. It is shocking. So we'll roll into some of the trivia here. The role of Allison, who is Laurie's granddaughter, became somewhat of a coveted role that people thought it was really important that we cast this right. She, if they continue to make films in this series, she'll kind of be the new Laurie Strode, obviously.
Definitely.
Personally, I hope they don't do that, but that's kind of the idea. And multiple popular actresses, including Lucy Hale, Emma Roberts, some others, met with Danny McBride to personally talk about the movie. The movie ended up deciding, hey, we want to do the same thing, or the studio decided we want to do the same thing that John Carpenter did with Jamie Lee Curtis and, a fairly unknown actress, not give this to someone who's already really established.
Yeah.
So
I think that's pretty ballsy. I mean, we did well with Jamie Lee Curtis, and she did a great job, and obviously brought her whole back a whole bunch more I realized she had a role in these movies. But to roll the dice like that again,
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think if you're planning on building a franchise off of her, that's one thing. Her role in this movie, while she does exist as the new generation's Laurie Strode, she's not doing a whole lot.
It's limited.
Yeah. I mean, we're still focused on the real Laurie Strode.
Right.
So,
Right.
if
When she really doesn't even interact. I mean, she's in the back of the car with him, but she sees some of her friends, but even her friend who's in the house babysitting,
she's not
a part of that. She doesn't find him. You think about trying to mirror image kind of ring theory storytelling. It doesn't happen the same way.
Right.
So some of it is, it's good. There are pivotal parts, but also limited.
Yeah.
Limited pivotal parts.
I can't remember if this was in Unmasked or if I heard this on another podcast, but there's actually an interesting thing. I forget the actress's name that plays Allison, but her mother saw Halloween 1978 in theaters, and it traumatized her because she was a babysitter at the time. She was in that exact same age group. It was a really, really big deal for her. And a lot of people knew that about her growing up. And so kids would wear Michael Myers masks at Halloween and show up at her house trick-or-treating year after year after year and kind of torture her, even to the point where she's an adult and she has this daughter who's an aspiring actress, and she's kind of being picked on by these neighborhood kids who know that this chick is really afraid of Michael Myers.
Yes.
And then her daughter ends up being basically the new Laurie Strode. So that kind of just came full circle, and
I like that.
It's really, really interesting.
That's a good story.
So Jake Gyllenhaal helped convince Jamie Lee Curtis to reprise her role as Laurie Strode.
What a strange...
Jamie Lee was just not really interested in doing Halloween anymore.
Yeah,
and
I read this because Jake Gyllenhaal's work on the movie about the Boston Marathon bombing.
Oh,
That I guess shared. I can't remember the same producer director.
Okay.
And apparently Jake Gyllenhaal is the pseudo. Jamie Lee Curtis
unofficial,
is the pseudo unofficial godmother.
yeah, they're
of Jake
really
Gyllenhaal.
old family friends.
Yeah, I didn't know this was
Yeah.
a thing. I imagine now
Yeah.
I'm picturing all the different Hollywood godmother relationships that are out there now, but I guess this is one of them. And
Yeah.
he was kind of the
So it was
do it.
So David Gordon Green knew Jake Gyllenhaal pretty well and was pitching him his idea of bringing Jamie Lee Curtis back, and he kind of used
Sure.
that in hey,
Absolutely.
And maybe it was like, hey, she's not returning my calls, but I bet she'll return your call. Like,
Yep.
So they kind of played that game with it, which is great because it finally works. The film's producer, Malik Akkad, is the son of Mustafa Akkad, which is the producer of the original movie.
Huh.
Yeah, and they actually that's one of the first credits in the end credit sequence is they dedicate this movie to Mustafa Akkad. He was I don't remember the whole story, but him and a few of the other members of Malik's family were actually murdered, and so yeah, it was like so it's kind of it wasn't like a serial killer kind of thing. It was like a political bombing kind of thing, but but yeah, just an interesting thing that he was able to kind of bring back his father's legacy, doing this movie the same way that he did that movie. Definitely. And making a lot of money off of it. In the process, and doing it well. He did it. He did a good job. I would imagine that his father would be very proud of this film and the numbers that this film put up, especially being a producer as opposed to a writer or director. You don't really care too much about the creativity, but as long as those numbers are looking good. Yep. It was released coinciding with the 40th anniversary of the original film, which, is pretty obvious, but we hadn't actually talked about that. So Halloween H2O was the 20th anniversary, and then this, which some people dub H40, even though that's not the title of the movie, released with the 40th anniversary. So that's cool. It also takes place essentially in real time. We're supposed to believe that this is 40 years after Laurie Strode's experience with Michael from the first movie, which is cool. Jamie Lee Curtis has repeatedly described the process of making this film as being very similar to the original, and because of that, she believes it's a very suitable sequel. Did a great job. I know that I read a few interviews with her where she said just like the vibe on set was very similar to working with John. Working with David Gordon Green was very similar to working with John Carpenter, and that's kind of what sold her on even accepting the role, is when Jake Gyllenhaal convinced her to have the conversation. And then she's like, oh, this actually feels a lot like working with John, and the similar visionaries and things like that. So she's like, I think I'm in on this.
I actually read she did not understand the weight of this character in this movie before she accepted the role.
That's right. Yeah, I did. That was I think that was in her Entertainment Weekly interview. It was actually really long, and she accepted it, and she's like, oh yeah, I read the script. Like, I'm really not in it that much. I can just kind of pop in and film for a few days and we'll probably be done. And then as she got into it, it was like, this is, it's not that she's in the movie more than the script said it was, but this is just much more emotionally draining and taxing than what she expected it to be. And so that's really cool, because that's how we get such a great performance out of her in this movie. Then there's just so many references. And it's not just to the original. It's not just to Halloween 2. It's every film in the series. And I didn't even catch all of them the first couple times because I wasn't as familiar with H2O and 4 and 5. And just because I watched those just over the last couple days, have I seen even things from in the new movie that are referencing like H2O. So in H2O, there is a kind of spooky, scary sequence with Michael at a rest stop bathroom. Plays out very similarly to the gas station bathroom that we see in this movie. Like, why'd you do a bathroom again? Like, they're doing it all on purpose. It's almost like this movie's like the greatest hits of Michael Myers. And that is a good thing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
All right, so let's move in. What happened in Halloween 2018?
Go ahead, Dano.
You want me to do my summary? Because you're not going to like it.
No, I feel like this is the umpteenth time James has seen it. No, the third or fourth. This is my second. This is your first.
What happened? What's the plot?
Here's what happened.
What goes on?
So once upon a time, there's a movie called Halloween. It happened. At the end of it, Laurie Strode.
God, fuck.
Strode. She's hurt, but she's alive. And then fast forward 40 years. Like I said earlier, I don't really know as much about the Halloween universe as y'all do.
Keep going.
I do really like like you said, the realistic timeline. Like, hey, all these things that happened before, you don't need to have known them to enjoy this film. To know that, hey, this is exactly 40 years later. This is our 40th anniversary. This is what we're doing. He's been in prison this whole time.
Right.
He's locked up in the loony bin, and now he is getting out. And I've never heard of Halloween H2O before. Escape from
He's
the
not
bus.
being released.
Right.
Just make that clear.
So I really dig that rendition of it. When I saw the trailers, I thought it was going to be a very Jamie Lee Curtis Home Alone. I'm getting ready for Michael Myers to come get me, and I'm setting all the traps.
It's kind of like that.
There's a little taste of that, and I liked it. I was into that, but in general, I liked how much they did outside of the home, how much they did inside of the home, and the conclusion was, we got him, but did we get him?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yep.
I don't. I'm not sure you answered the question. What happened?
What was the question?
What happened?
So Michael Myers
Once upon a
Gets
time,
loose.
there's a
He
movie.
gets loose.
Gets loose, comes after Jamie Lee Curtis. It's not Freaky Friday, but she's kind of freaking out.
Can't believe it.
She's got her kid who is also trained to fight Michael Myers, but she thinks she's kind of crazy. I think she was referred to at one point while we were watching as Crooked Boobs.
Yep.
Crooked Boobs thinks her
From
mom is
Arrested
crazy.
Development.
And Crooked Boobs had a baby, and baby thinks, well, you know what, Grandma's okay, and Michael Myers, you got to get over it, but hey, I'm not over it. And then,
generational
long story short,
curse of Strode women.
yes, Stroud women, and they
Not Stroud. God.
and youngest Stroud says, hey, get over it, and Jamie Lee Curtis says no, and turns out Jamie Lee Curtis was right.
Well, I mean, the moral of the story is Jamie Lee Curtis is always right.
Yep.
Eat yogurt.
I told you I don't like it.
That was close.
That's good enough. That's good enough. I think we established.
We get the gist.
The gist. I mean, it's a Halloween movie.
It's a Halloween movie.
If you're watching this or listening to this and you don't know what a Halloween movie is, I'm sorry. Go watch Halloween, and then you understand this is a Halloween movie.
Yep.
Let's talk about look and sound, visuals and audio. What do we think about that?
I'm gonna jump in real quick.
I'd prefer it if you jumped in slowly.
Ooh, I think I can do that. No,
Okay, now you're in, so you can talk.
Yeah. There we go. I love the look of this movie. I love the look. It's modern, but they
Polished enough.
Yeah, but they do, but they take measures to where you question what time it is. Like, when I say time, I don't mean time on the watch. I mean like the date,
Time period.
the year. Yeah,
absolutely.
So we get some modern features. We get some dated features. We get big, like old school throw the big breaker floodlights. We have flip phones. We have
iPhones.
like we have iPhones. We have a lot of we have the handheld podcast, like the quintessential podcast recorder.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called,
The
but
old Zoom H2.
yeah, and so we get a lot of these features that, and then like kind of like the high school dance scene where like we're all in our almost 30s ish to 30s ish, and we all said like, did your dance resemble that? Like maybe we're a little too old for that. Like we get a feel for like,
Or
yes,
like I made a comment, I'm still pretty sure that no one who wrote this movie had ever been to Illinois before, because I can tell you what, that's not a small town Illinois dance, no matter what you say.
Absolutely, absolutely. Or nor is that a small town Illinois sheriff. Like he's wearing a 10-gallon
Dude
hat.
works in
like,
Austin, man.
what is happening?
I really expected him to do a lot more things.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's just
As
there.
illustrated as this character was, he was just there.
He's just there. He actually plays a very similar role to the sheriff in H2O.
Yeah.
Very specifically. And that whole scene where that character is introduced and he says like, oh, what you wanted to do? Just cancel Halloween? Like that's a very similar conversation that happens in H2O.
Yeah. So just the way this movie pans out. Just Laurie's look is great.
Oh, she looks amazing.
It's exactly like one of my biggest problems with H2O is Jamie Lee Curtis from the commercials.
Yep.
That is Jamie Lee Curtis from Freaky Friday.
Yep.
And it's been like just in regular American culture, it's been so long since we've seen Jamie Lee Curtis with long-ish hair. It's only shoulder length, but
right.
I mean, it's different.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we're used to the pixie cut.
She literally cut her hair after Halloween, and she's had a pixie cut her entire life since then.
Yeah. The one issue that I have with the look is the mask.
Yeah.
I think the mask is bad. So if we have a true kind of reset to one has happened, you could argue because 1 and 2 happened in the same night. You could argue 1 and 2 has happened.
Yeah.
Still, that mask shouldn't look how it looks.
Yeah.
It's the nose is wrong. The
guy says that like he got it from his friend at the district attorney's office, and it's like, no, if this has been like, I know it's been 40 years, but if this has been in a evidence locker box, all this time, like it
looks wrong.
I actually read a little tidbit about it where the people that were designing the mask researched how latex aged.
That's interesting.
And created it as such as if it had been sitting in an evidence locker for 40 years.
That's interesting.
Do you like it better now?
No.
Dang it.
I think
there's just too many scratches.
I like the idea because so here's the thing. Like the entire movie sets the precedent. Only one happened. Only one.
Right.
And like I said, you could make the argument because 1 and 2 happened in the same day. Mm-hmm. They happened within 12 hours of each other. You would have to get into the argument that 2 happened with the explosion. Like that's the only reasonable explanation of why.
Where did all this come from?
The scratches, the eye depth weirdness, like. It's not just the shape, it's the shading, it's the nose is just completely wrong. It's rounded. It looks almost like a real face. Like there's one profile shot where it looks like he's frowning. Like like the specifically the mask is designed to show no emotion. Mm-hmm. And so that's the only qualm I have is like the mask could be better. But the sound. I mean, there's one shot. I think
the sound.
I think it's when they are like celebrating maybe a graduation or an event or something, and they're out to dinner, and Grandma shows up, who is Laurie Strode,
right? And
like all of a sudden, like it just starts so quietly, like the not the theme, but like the reprise, like the. It starts happening in the background, and like you don't even notice it, and then all of a sudden it's so loud and it's so prevalent, where she starts to lose it, and it hits you with this weird flood of emotion, and there's one scene, I'm going to steal this from you, Danny, where he's going through a house, and we see him. In one scene, kill a 12-year-old. We'll say he's 12.
Yep.
11 to 13.
Yep.
And so we know Michael Myers has no qualms about killing anybody. He kills his sister when he's 6 or 7. Like, he doesn't care. And there is an infant. And the infant is crying. And I am a father to a 6-month-old. Danny is a father to a
6-week-old.
6-week-old. And, like, that cry is just too... It is real. That is my child laying in that bassinet.
Fun fact: Jamie Lee Curtis recorded that cry sound.
Really?
I don't like it anymore.
Whoa, it's good. It's perfect.
It is good.
And Danny actually, like, Michael Myers looks at the crib and he walks by it. He doesn't do a daggone thing. And Danny, you can recount your own emotions, but You were pretty worked up at that scene.
Didn't like that. I thought they were going to kind of leave it open-ended at the end of that scene where they just kind of cut away from it and where he's just staring at the baby. But they made it very clear he walked past the baby and left it alone.
Yep. But they took extraordinary measures to me to say we recognize Halloween.
Yeah.
And we are trying to do it justice.
Yeah. And when I don't know necessarily all the details of, obviously we know John Carpenter did the score, but I don't necessarily know like how much of it like he puts to the movie.
Right.
I know like in the older ways of making scores, like they might actually like be playing the music to the movie in real time, and like he's like the scene that you're talking about in the restaurant, like he may have actually orchestrated that part, or he may have just written the music and played the music, and then someone else is actually plugging those into different scenes.
Yeah.
Like he may not have really done much of that at all.
Yep.
Either way, anyone who worked on that segment of the movie, just the sound and the way the score is incorporated into the film, amazing job.
Yep.
And what we get, one of the best moments that we get is whenever the friend, we lost his name, we called him Dustin.
Oscar. It was Oscar.
Oscar. When Oscar gets killed is whenever we get basically the new version of the theme, and it has elements of the original theme, but it also it's almost like backwards, and so things are just it's kind of a remixed version that he created just for this film. And
just to be really clear, not truly remixed. Like it's a different version.
As my 6-year-old would say, wiki wiki wag. No, not like that.
Not like that.
Like he took the elements of the original theme, and it's almost played in reverse, and then it's just a little different, but it sounds enough like the original that you know what it is, and it just comes in so strong right at that moment. It just swells. It's huge. Oh, it's so good.
Yep, so good.
All right, let's move into, is this movie scary? Danny?
Ooh. I think this movie is kind of scary. I like how true it seems to the original Halloween feel, where it, they can keep it within $10 million because they're not going overboard with crazy, murder scenes. It's very realistic.
Things that they may have done in 4, 5, and 6.
Yep. And presumably, and so with that, you have a simpler movie with simpler kills. They have the creepiness of Michael Myers, which is scary. Certainly not the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm going to take it just because I agree with that sentiment. Just off the top, meh. There are scary moments, but it's meh. So I'm going to take it in a different direction. I'm going to say just the exploration of the human psychological state. Like, yes, it is scary.
It's almost like Laurie is scarier than Michael in this film.
Yes, absolutely. The idea of what has happened to her and the extreme in which she's taken it is scary.
Yeah.
And I've seen in some personal situations, I've seen, not obviously this situation play out, but I've seen elements of this situation play out. And it absolutely holds true. The kind of Twilight Zone explores these kinds of topics a lot, and I would say that like as scary as the idea of Michael Myers and the boogeyman is, what is scarier in this film is the exploration of the human development. So yeah, I on the top I agree with Danny. There are scenes that make you jump. There are scenes that where you're looking for Michael Myers. It's the classic. But I don't think it's an accident where we get scenes, like one scene that we all nudged each other, during the movie is when Laurie gets thrown out of the window.
Yep.
And she's laying on the ground and Michael Myers is looking down at her. It cuts to, her daughter or granddaughter coming up the stairs.
Runs in,
Yep. And then we look back to where Laurie was laying on the ground, scene for scene of Halloween 1.
Yep.
And she's gone.
Yep.
And I think that's what's supposed to be invoked.
Yeah.
So
this almost becomes a revenge horror film, which I normally am not a huge fan of revenge horror, usually because I can't take the terrible things that happen at the beginning of a revenge horror film, 'cause
right.
it's very graphic and very intense. But it is interesting to see and to come at it from that angle. We're presented almost solely with Laurie's mindset and her experience, and I'm not. Sounds like I'm trying to make a case that Michael Myers is the good guy in this situation. That's not what I'm trying to say. But just, I think that the reason they chose to mirror that shot wasn't just because it would be cool to mirror the shot. It's showing that she, because of what happened to her, this psychosis has caused her to become almost just as much of a monster as he is.
Yep.
And she's able to pull off the ghost trick just like he can.
Yep.
And I think that is supposed to put some fear into Michael, but it also kind of puts some fear into us.
Definitely.
Just what humans are capable of. Because, you can make the argument all day that, Michael's not totally human, or he was a bad egg from the start, or, because or just mental illness caused him to be the way that he is. You have all these different things. But Laurie was, for all intents and purposes, normal.
Yep.
And now she is not.
Yeah, we know. She is not normal.
So yeah, I think those things are scary. I did want to bring up in this part some of the humor in this movie, because there's quite a bit of it.
Oh yeah.
And I think that some people some older fans may think that that's misplaced, and I understand to a certain degree, because maybe there's a lot more of it than is in the original. But I just want to remind everyone, if you haven't seen the original Halloween, or it's been a long time since you've seen the original Halloween, at one point, Michael Myers kills a teenage boy and then puts on a bed sheet and puts the boy's glasses on his face over the bed sheet and pretends to be a ghost so that he can kill the boy's girlfriend.
Oh, yeah. Let's go.
So if you're trying to say, oh, Halloween 2018 is too silly, no. This shit's always been silly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we love it.
Yep.
That's exactly why we love it.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to make that clear. Let's talk about the scariest moment.
Scariest moment. Bathroom scene.
Yeah.
Very specifically.
It's very well executed.
Obviously, it's Michael Myers coming into the bathroom. It's made very, very clear.
That's not good for anyone.
It's not great. It's not great. You see it coming all the way, but the best part, it was in the trailer. I watched a few of the trailers today just to kind of have a sense of the movie before we watched it. And the teeth over the door.
Yeah.
Let me tell you another funny story.
Please.
So James Jude Courtney, who is plays Michael mostly in this movie. Nick Castle also did, but I mean James Jude Courtney's really picking up the mask, if you will, and he was at his first big horror convention after being cast in this role, and some random fan walked up to him, handed him a Ziploc bag full of teeth, and walked away without saying a single word.
No. Were they real teeth?
And he's like, I don't know if these are real. They look real. They look human.
No.
They don't look like baby teeth either.
No.
And so the interviewer was talking to him about it, and he's like, welcome.
Yep.
You are now Michael Myers. This is the kind of stuff that is going to happen to you every time you go to a convention, every time you make a public appearance. This is your life now.
Oh my gosh.
Loved it. Best kill.
I think the low hanging fruit is the bath scene.
Yeah.
The restroom gas station scene. I think there are two. I'll say the honorable mention would be the guy podcaster, because I think we often forget the brutality of Michael Myers. Like we see a lot of slashing, we see a lot of you know,
that's good.
And
there's actually I saw someone ran the numbers one time, and if you look, this was before 2018 came out, so the stats might be different now.
Sure.
But at least before Halloween 2018, if you actually ran all the numbers on how Michael achieves his kills, he actually has strangled more people than he has stabbed.
Yeah. And I think when we get the male podcaster getting slammed into walls, like he just repeatedly gets slammed in the bathroom stall, I'm going to say that's my honorable mention.
Yeah.
However, I think the best kill is it's fast. It's a neighbor lady. We don't even know who she is.
It's so good.
And we see this scene where Michael Myers is peering through the window. We see his reflection.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, this lady comes to that window. He's behind her, and he grabs her by the back of the head, smacks her on either an end table or a sofa or something.
End of the chair or something.
And then, bloop, right through the throat.
Right through it.
And that
It's done so well.
There are many great kills in this movie.
Yeah.
I would say another third place gets babysitter. Because we're not expecting it.
Yep.
Like you just don't expect it that fast.
Yep. Babysitter's on my list. Also, I mean, to your kind of going with what you were saying, the gas station attendant.
Oh, yep.
Who we didn't even see it happen to. The guy whose teeth that we see being sprinkled down on the ground.
Yep.
Like just how brutal what was left of him looked.
Yep.
That's pretty intense too.
Oh, I just remembered another one. No, I can't keep going. I'm just going to ruin the whole movie.
I have a very different one.
Go.
Yeah.
I have a very, very different one. And it's really from the mindset of it. I was absolutely shocked, and I didn't see it coming at all. Doctor killing Officer Hawkins.
Yeah.
Oh.
I really did not see that.
So we didn't cover that in our plot. There is a new doctor who's essentially takes the role of the new Loomis. Laurie even calls him the new Loomis, and at some point he turns bad, and apparently he was kind of in on this thing from the beginning. He may have been the cause of Michael being able to escape in the first place.
Yeah, I think
it's the weakest plot point.
Definitely. And you know, we see this in other movies where it's like, hey, science is more important than human safety.
Yeah,
like,
he becomes obsessed with the idea of
Yeah.
examining Michael and what it takes for Michael to become Michael, and how other humans might become Michael more than he is with the safety of humans.
Because like he starts by the like once everything kind of settles in that scene, he's like, I need to get them together to see if my thesis is correct.
Right.
What is wrong with you?
Just nuts.
What?
He's just nuts.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good surprising moment, but it definitely felt like a plot twist where there needed to be none, because then very quickly, once Michael comes to, he's like, nah, screw this guy. Like,
I hate you.
You're not calling the shots. Like
before that, the scene where the doctor puts on the mask, stands up in front of the car. It's freaking straight out of Mulan, where the freaking little Mishu dragon stands up.
Mushu,
whatever.
Mushu.
And he has like the big dragon head.
Yeah,
it's like,
I do. I'm going back. That's my scariest moment. It's such a good jump scare, and it's so stupid. And the mask looks terrible on the doctor.
Horrible.
I love it. I love that moment.
Oh gosh!
All right, Danny, take us into our thumbs up, thumbs down, and our nugget scale. For those of you that don't know, we rate our movies on a chicken nugget scale.
Yeah, we do.
Essentially, 100 chicken nuggets is a perfect score.
Okay.
Essentially.
That's good to know.
Essentially.
All right.
I would give this 80 chicken nuggets.
Wow. You would
80
go to
chicken
the
nuggets.
You're saying I'm going to the theater
Yep.
to watch this.
Yep, I would have gone to the theater to watch this.
Yeah.
80 chicken nuggets. Unfortunately, you only have one sweet and sour sauce with it, so it was it kind of
Just a little barely dipping.
Yep. I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was kind of scary, but I think it really, being very ignorant to the Halloween world, I think this seemed like a really good follow-up to the original. And just a very interesting reimagining of what could have happened after the fact.
Nice.
I'm gonna jump in real quick because
No, you're not allowed to.
oh god,
This is my nuggets, bro.
Okay.
Are you doing
my nuggets, bro?
jumping in with your
You do
review,
your
or are you
own
jumping in to
nuggets,
say
bro.
something else?
I was gonna jump in with nuggies, but
Well, let me.
Okay, you're going.
You got to
You're
go
going.
last because I got to turn the music on and stuff.
Okay,
I don't
okay,
have
okay.
4 hands. Okay.
Okay.
And I have to talk with 2 of them.
As long as long as you know where I'm already going, so that's all I'm saying.
I really, really enjoy this movie. It's a thumbs up for me for sure. This is 3rd time seeing it. Really, really like it. I think that it is. We've said this before. We haven't said this on tonight, so I want to make sure that we make this clear. This is, Star Wars: The Force Awakens for the Halloween series.
Yes,
it
absolutely.
in a way is a total
Yep.
remake, but it does enough to play with the ideas, to do something slightly new.
Yep.
It is packaged in a new way for a new audience, and I think all of that is good if we can get, more young people just as afraid of Michael Myers as I was of, Freddy Krueger at
Yep.
one point in my life, because that series sure as hell isn't coming back with anything good anytime soon, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm totally down for this movie. I'm totally here for it. I say, 80 to 90 nuggets. I guess that's kind of a weird hypocrisy on my part because I just spent $15 for the movie at Target, and I have no issues with that. But I feel bad giving it it's 100 nuggets. 100 nuggets. Woo! You should own the movie. I would rather own this film than 4, 5, and 6. Like,
Yep.
just personally.
Yep. So the reason I tried to jump ahead of James is because everyone knows where I'm going with this. I think it's great. I thought it was. I actually had a really low expectation for this film because the name, and I know I shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but Danny McBride.
I'm with you.
I was so nervous. I just thought it was going to be a joke. I thought it was not a joke in a sense of they were going to make the whole thing a comedy, but I thought I just had low expectation, and I thought they did so well. Even from the opening sequence where they're reversing the rotted pumpkin, I thought there are just so many little touches that showed that they understood and like it was more than just an homage to the original.
Yep.
That they lived it, that they knew it, that they were raised with it, that they had this in their DNA somewhere, and I would completely agree. Like, this is more than just go watch it in a theater. It's hard to give it 100 nuggies because that is the perfect movie, but I'm gonna go ahead and say 90 nuggies because if I went and saw it in a theater, and I would do it 10 times over. It's an incredible film, and not because of the same way we say Raw's an incredible film,
Right.
or The Ritual's an incredible film, but because I would say it's better than what Star Wars has done. It's continuing that conversation. It's continuing the conversation of Halloween. Yes. See it, believe in it, own it. There it is.
There it is. All right, well, that about wraps it up for this segment of the show, Halloween 2018, getting the official EEK seal of quality. If you'd like to hear our discussion about the entire Halloween film series, we cover that in a EEK Live segment. You'll be able to find that in our podcast feed or on YouTube. And again, EEK Live is recorded on Twitch Monday nights, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'd love for you to join us and engage with the conversation in real time. If you're interested in being a guest on EEK Live, please hit us up on Instagram at EEK Channel. That is EEKCHANNEL. Thank you so much for listening and for watching.
Boom, baby.
This has been a production of Eek Channel. We make spooky stuff for people like you. You can discover more content like this at eekchannel.com or find us on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the places. And don't be shy, we like making new friends. Thank you for tuning in and stay eeky out there.